trip through Baltimore, New York, and Detroit. Awaiting the rejuvenated offense at home, a familiar face. James Shields, the Royals ace and former Rays stopper, makes his first start at the Trop as an opponent. Taking the hill against one of the pitchers he was traded for in Jake Odorizzi. It's a drama-filled night as the Rays face off against the Royals right now on Sun Sports. Welcome to All-Star Week here on Sun Sports. Tonight, the Rays open a three-game series against the Kansas City Royals. This will be the first game of 6 games on this stand leading up to the All-Star game. Well, the Rays, over their last 25 games, have put up the best record in the American League East since June the 11th. The Rays are 17-8. 9 of those wins coming off their most recent road trip. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson. I'm Dwayne Stats. So good to have you with us. Todd Callis along in just a moment. 9-2 go the Rays, and they do it on the strength of some very good offense, averaging over 5 runs a game on that road trip.
Yeah, and who hasn't chipped in? I mean, everybody on this team right now is dangerous. 1 through 9, a lot of different guys getting it done for the Rays. Over 5 runs a game. They hit .281 on the trip, and on base percentage as a team of over .350 at .351. And you see right there, 56 runs, 44 extra base hits, 17 of them going for home runs, including Logan Forsythe, who has hit his first 3 home runs of the year on this last trip. And I'll tell you something, you gotta love the way that they finished up in Detroit. They lose game 1 of that series, win the last 3, including last night on 19 hits.
Yeah, the Rays averaged over 6 runs a game in those last 3 games up in Detroit. What a way to start this homestand. A familiar face pitching against the Rays. James Shields, he had a 5-game winning streak, but his last 3, 2 no decisions and a loss.
Yeah, well, but you know what? Here's the thing about James Shields. The Rays know exactly what they're getting. This guy is the winningest pitcher in the history of Tropicana Field with 47 wins, and you see what he's done since going to the Royals. 21-13, 3.41 earned run average. He's 8-4 this year, but that ERA approaching 4. Not pitching his best right now, but you know what the formula is with him. Get ahead with the fastball, the curveball, try to put your way with that changeup.
So it's a big game for the Rays. They all are at this point if they are to be relevant in the American League East, and a very big game for Kansas City. They are chasing the Tigers in the Central Division, so it's a big one tonight for the right-hander James Shields. For more on James, let's go to Todd Callis. Todd?
All right, Dwayne, you're right about that. As B.A. mentioned, all-time leader in wins here in this building. And then you go into the Rays clubhouse and you talk to the guys, and he is so revered as to what a difference he made here in the transition from the Devil Rays to the Rays and being the leader of that pitching staff. Yesterday, James Shields was asked, as you take a look at his numbers here since 2008, 84 starts, the 36 wins at Tropicana Field since 2008, 36 of the 47 in his career, and a 3.24 ERA. Shields was asked yesterday about returning here to pitch for the first time as a member of the Royals.
And last year, I think we had a 4-game series there, and I missed all 4 games there. So, yeah, it's gonna be exciting, man. I'm excited to go back to the Trop and step foot on that mound, and you know, it's gonna be a little weird, you know. I mean, being an opposing player now, but you know, I'm excited to go over there and pitch on that field.
So he will be teeing it up against the former Royal Jake Odorizzi. We have 5 minutes and 15 seconds until the first pitch. Rays and the Royals kicking off a 3-game series next on Sun Sports.
On Sun Sports is presented by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Checkers. Big Philly flavor, small price. Checkers Philly cheesesteak and the new Chicken Philly. Each just $1.99. Rays open their homestand leading up to the All-Star break. The Kansas City Royals, led by James Shields, will be on the mound tonight against the Rays. First pitch just moments away. The former Kansas City Royal, Jake Odorizzi, goes to the hill for the Rays tonight. And we'll take a quick look at the starting lineup for Kansas City, brought to you by your Southern Ford dealers. Lorenzo CAIN leads it off, followed by Eric Hosmer and the all-star catcher, Salvador Perez. Alex Gordon at left, Omar Infantes at second, Mike Moustakas at third, Billy Butler the DH, Raul Ibanez in right field, Alcides Escobar is the shortstop hitting ninth. All set to play baseball with CAIN in the batter's box. Odorizzi set to make the first pitch of this game, presented by Pinch a Penny, and that pitch inside. 1 ball, no strikes. CAIN starts the night hitting .309, and there's a chopper down to Longoria. Evan throws a strike to first base, and that's one away.
Well, let's go ahead and set the Rays defense for you tonight. Brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. Go in the outfield left to right, Matt Joyce, Desmond Jennings, and Kevin Kiermaier. Across the infield third to first, Evan Longoria, Ben Zobrist, Logan Forsythe, and Sean Rodriguez. Ryan Hannigan will be behind the plate.
Now Eric Hosmer, the first baseman, up in the second spot. First pitch, a fastball in there for A strike call in at 92.
You saw the season numbers on Jake Odorizzi, but he's done some really good work his last 5 times out. 2-1 record, ERA just over 2, averaging 6 innings a start.
Hosmer under it, pops it into shallow right. Kiermaier's in, making the call. 2 gone. So a ground ball to third and a pop to shallow right. 2 up, 2 down. Boy, you're right about Odorizzi. Right on target.
More efficient. You know, look at the 2 quick outs here. You know, this is a guy, Dwayne, how long ago was it that we were talking about 20 pitches an inning?
Yep.
Is what he was averaging. And these last, 5, he's under 17 at 16.8 during that time frame. And might not seem like a big deal, but it has allowed him to average those 6 innings a start, get a little bit deeper, have more success.
Here's a strike to Perez. Yeah, during that stretch, what he's done is shave almost a pitch and a half an inning off that rate. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, much, we talk about it an awful lot, but right now, Jake Odorizzi has a real good idea what he wants to do, how he wants to attack hitters. You see, last start against the Yankees, a little bit of a grind. Still pitching well enough to give his team a win, and that's what he did.
Off the end of the bat, fouled up the right side. Well, Kansas City with a couple of all-stars hitting back-to-back in their lineup. All-stars again in Salvador Perez and Alex Gordon. Greg Holland out of their bullpen has also made the all-star team. There's Gordon on deck.
Tell you what, though, the Rays are catching the Royals at the right time. This is a team that in his last 16 games, they're 6-10, not scoring any runs.
And a cut the miss. Perez out on strikes. 1, 2, 3. Go the Royals. Bottom of the first coming, no score. James Shields from the opposite dugout trots to the mound, making his first start here at Tropicana Field since 2012. Making his 19th start of the season overall. And for your Southern Ford dealers, the Rays lineup finds a red-hot Desmond Jennings atop the order. Ben Zobrist and then Matt Joyce, a good road trip. Evan Longoria cleanup, and the DH tonight will be James Loney. Logan Forsythe, who's led the way for the Rays recently. At second base, Sean Rodriguez in there at first. Ryan Hannigan, the catcher, hits 8th. Kevin Kiermaier in right bats 9th.
Well, the one thing we know about James Shields is he wins and he throws a ton of innings. Nothing new here. Making his 19th start of the season, an 8-4 record, 116 2/3 innings pitched. Some other interesting numbers I'm sure we'll get into as this game goes on, but no secret what he's going to try and do tonight. In the Rays obviously know that better than anybody.
Well, here's Desmond. And the first pitch, Shields immediately gets ahead. Strike one.
Well, that is his game. Get ahead however he can and then try to put you away. That very good changeup.
1-1 the count. We mentioned Shields had a run of 5 consecutive wins. He had 3 no decision mixed in there in an 8-start span. Chop headed to Infante at second. 1 away.
Let's take a look at that Kansas City defense as it lines up tonight. Brought to you by Golden Diamond Source. In the outfield, left to right, Alex Gordon, Lorenzo Cain, and Raul Ibanez. Across the infield, third to first, Mike Moustakas, Alcides Escobar, Omar Infante, and Eric Hosmer. Salvador Perez will handle the catching duties.
So now it'll be Ben Zobrist matching up against his former teammate, James Shields. Pitch away off the plate with a fastball. 1-0 in those 3 games since the winning streak. He had a no decision against Seattle, a no decision against the Dodgers, both at home in Kansas City, and then a loss on the road to Minnesota. The Twins put together a pretty good offensive night and beat Kansas City 10-2 in that game. He gave up 5 runs, 4 earned in 5 innings.
You know, Dwayne, if you go back over James' last 8 starts, he has a winning record of 2-1, but the ERA is 5.66. The average against him is 3.24.
Liner into center. That will fall in front of Cain. The Rays get a base runner. So Ben Zobrist, to finish the road trip red hot with 4 hits last night in Detroit, lines a base hit to center, his first time up tonight.
Yeah, that Rays offense so good on the trip and ends in a big win last night, getting in early this morning. But 19 hits last night. Big reason why. Ben Zobrist and Sean Rodriguez. That ball right off the end of the bat, and it just kind of died out there in center field and dropped in for the Rays' first hit.
Now here's Matt Joyce following Zobrist in the lineup. There's a strike.
Now getting back to that 8-start span for Shields, 6 times in those 8 starts he gave up 4 earned runs or more. He's only done that 7 times on the season, and 6 of the 7 have come in his last 8 starts. So the Rays, while the Orioles offense has struggled, this is not the best that James has been all year either.
It's low to Matt Joyce. So the count is 1-1. Well, it was Zobrist with an RBI single in the first last night, and then Joyce with a 2-run home run that put the Rays out in front early, 3-0. It's inside off the plate. It's 2-1. Evan Longoria on deck. Foul ball out of play.
You can see Matt Joyce right there talking with home plate umpire Scott Berry, wanting to make sure that that was the outer edge of the strike zone. Was that a good pitch? Did I swing at a ball? Did I swing at a strike? Hitters early on trying to get an idea of what that zone's going to be like tonight.
Too low. So it's a full count.
Got a couple of good takes so far on Shields' changeup, and that's the pitch that obviously he wants to get you to swing at, especially in a 2-2 count.
Runner goes. The pitch, a cut and a miss. Throw down is going to be in time. Escobar putting the tag on Zobrist. So the Rays caught stealing to end the bottom of the first inning on the strikeout of Joyce.
How about?
We're through one. No score. Two we go with Kansas City set to lead off with Alex Gordon. Jake ODORIZZI a 1-2-3 first. Just 8 pitches in the first for Jake.
You can't be any more efficient than that. That's the one thing I'll tell you that Jake ODORIZZI has done a great job of all season long. His first time through the order. You know, he's held opponents to a 162 average first time through the order, and that allows you to get off to a great start. It allows your offense the opportunity to take early leads. It's a great way to pitch winning baseball.
Alex Gordon takes the first pitch, and that's a fastball a little bit low, 1-0.
And you see this number here troublesome, but that has been coming down as the season has gone on. First time through, still mighty impressive.
Gordon takes this one down. Gordon back in the lineup. He had the day off yesterday for Kansas City. Another good take on a pitch down. That's 3 straight down out of the zone. 3-0. That's a strike. Gordon 2 for 19 on the Kansas City road trip. For all 3 of his last 40. It's popped up, a foul ball, third base side, out of the reach of Longoria.
You know, Dwayne, that's what we got talking about it last half inning. The Royals' last 16 games are averaging under 3.5 runs a game. They've not had anything longer than a 2-game winning streak in those 16 games. They've done that a couple of times. Just not able to put it together anything consistently, and the big reason why is the O.
Well, they had that little run and overtook Detroit for really a matter of a few days, and since then it's been problems for them.
It really has. Detroit has started to play better, well, until the Rays came into Detroit and handled them this past weekend, 3 out of 4. But yeah, it's been a scuffle here for the Royals recently.
Fly ball into center, and Jennings is right there to make the catch. So ODORIZZI comes back from 3-0 and retires Alex Gordon.
Yeah, all-star Alex Gordon falling behind 3-0. Another sign of Jake Odorizzi's maturity, able to come back in a tough spot, some tough counts, and retire him. Well, it was the Seagulls in Detroit, and it's the Pigeons here at Tropicana Field.
Yeah, and they've been putting on a defensive shift already. They're on the first base side now, and prior to that last pitch to Gordon, they were on the left side. We'll keep an eye on them. Infante, Omar Infante, 1 strike the count. And a strike at the knees. 0-2. Low, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And to give you an idea where these clubs have been and where they are now and in their recent past, despite the Royals' problem scoring runs and the Rays' great offensive outbursts on that long road trip, Kansas City still averaging 4.11 runs a game, and the Rays are still under 4 at 3.86. Line drive, and it's over the head of Zobrist. Joyce will make the pickup out there, and Infante has the first hit for Kansas City. That just gives you an idea of how dysfunctional the Rays offense was in the early part of this season.
Yeah, I mean, they really, well, it cost them how many wins?
Yep.
I mean, just over and over and over again, and they finally started to iron that problem out, and that's what had led to that great road trip. I mean, the pitching had started to come, you know, into shape like you would expect, but the offense still wasn't quite there yet. They've started to put it together, and then the last 10 days have been just fantastic. Outside of that start by Max Scherzer, that offense has been tremendous.
With a strike to Moustakas, Mike Moustakas. See his average under 200, but he has 10 home runs and has been swinging the bat better. The Pigeons put up a picket line on the right side of the infield for Moustakas.
Yeah, and one of them is going to get smoked. You know, I mean, I'm telling you right now, roll over, hard hit ground ball, and you could be down a pitch. Clearly bunched up, the shift on the right side. Oh.
Now another shift. They've decided they sense danger.
Tom Foley. We are indoors, correct?
We are, but a little bit of nature has joined us inside. Pitch is down. 2 balls and a strike.
You talk to the Kansas City people, and they say that Mike Moustakas may be swinging the bat as well or better than anybody on this team right now. Disregard that 195 average, because that's not who he is right now.
Yeah, he was sent to the minor leagues. Thought he was going to be there for a long period of time, and then an injury brought him back in pretty short order. But it was an eye-opener for him. Been highly touted since he signed. A lot expected of him.
He's had his moments, but a number of prolonged struggles.
Odorizzi walks him. That pushes Infante up to second base. So a 1-out single by Infante, and the walk drawn by Moustakas. We'll get Billy Butler to the plate. He's the DH.
Well, you talk about a guy who's scuffling this year. How about that right there? Billy Butler, just 2 home runs on the season to go along with that 267 average. Obviously much more expected out of Butler this year, and it just has not happened thus far.
Yeah, it's quite a dilemma for Butler in Kansas City. You know, just 2 years ago, he hit 29 home runs with 107 runs batted in. That dropped last year to 15, but I don't think anyone anticipated that they played over half their games. He'd have 2 home runs at this point of the season. Outside, it's 2-0. Now Odorizzi's hit a little rough spot here with Moustakas walking following the Infante base hit. 2-0 to Butler, and Jim Hickey's headed to the mound.
You know, and that's what you don't want to do to this lineup. You know, when you break down the Kansas City lineup, walks, fewest walks in Major League Baseball. Not an easy team to walk. Fewest strikeouts in Major League Baseball by a wide margin. Fewest home runs in Major League Baseball. I mean, they don't strike out, they don't walk, they don't hit home runs. You say, how do they score? And they hit for a pretty high average. On-base percentage is not very good, but they have to manufacture things themselves, and they're very active on the base paths. But you do not want to be handing this team that's been struggling offensively, hand them free passes and get something going without having them earn it.
Odorizzi up again. He's missed with 6 of his 7 of his last 7 pitches.
And think about this too. Jake has started against the Royals before. He had a rough outing earlier this year, but you know, he's amped up as much as James Shield is to face his old mates, because Jake Odorizzi came from this organization, knows a lot of these guys, obviously wants to do well.
And he walks Butler on 4 straight to load the bases. They're loaded in front of RAUL IBANEZ, who at 42 was picked up by Kansas City as they look for a little more pop in their lineup. He's hitting a combined 159 and up with the bases loaded.
Still hoping that he has a little bit of last year's first half in, where he was popping home runs left and right. A struggle this year.
That pitch is high. That's 9 consecutive pitches out of the zone.
You know, and Ibanez too, a good veteran hitter. He's going to force him right down into his sweet spot before he swings the bat.
And it's popped up on the infield, and Forsythe will take care of the formality of making that catch. Big out there. Maybe that's part of that 159 average, because that ball, that's the pitch that Odorizzi puts you away on, either with the pop-up like that or the swing and a miss. Elevated heater out over the plate, just high enough you can't quite get there. And that was a huge out. Now he will face Alcides Escobar. Two outs with the bases loaded. Escobar is having a good year at the plate. 291 out of the 9th spot, and he chases the high fastball. Strike 1. How many teams have we seen do that? Just about everybody that Odorizzi faces. His fastball, 90 to 92, middle of the plate, belt and up, plays very, very well. He is one of those guys that has that knack for being able to pitch up in the zone effectively. Little tapper, that's a foul ball. So a 2-strike count after that stretch of missing the strike zone. Escobar was involved in the trade along with Odorizzi and the on-deck hitter Lorenzo CAIN to Kansas City from the Milwaukee organization. That was in the Zach Greinke deal. So these two facing each other were traded, packaged in the same deal. Upstairs, Escobar would not chase that one way up. Ground ball. Forsythe's got it. That'll take care of Kansas City. The Royals load the bases and leave them that way. No score through an inning and a half. Game tonight and all season long. Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. It's Evan Longoria ready to lead off the home half of the inning. Then James Loney and Logan Forsythe against James Shields, the 32-year-old right-hander.
Boy, that last half inning may come back to haunt the Royals, where they looked like they had ODORIZZI a little wobbly out there. He came back strong, leaving this game scoreless.
First pitch to Longoria. He pops it up. Right side, down the line goes Hosmer. Here comes Ibanez, and he can't get there. Foul ball.
You can chalk that one up to just slowing down, a little bit of age. Raul Ibanez, the veteran, given max effort, just cannot get there on a ball that wasn't that far foul. Now, he had to come a little ways. More times than not, you see that ball caught.
And that's one of the issues they have with signing him. Ordinarily, he'd be the DH, but they have Butler, who's the DH. They don't really want to play him anywhere, and as a result, Ibanez has to play in the outfield with, as we just saw there, limited range. Another one up that right side. Ibanez on the run again, and this time high enough to get there by the bullpen mound, and Longoria is the first out.
Well, you know, Raul Ibanez had a little stretch of time there with Kansas City and a lot of success. They remember that very well, and you know, had a big first half last year.
Well, and you outlined their offensive challenges as well. I mean, they're 11th in runs scored, and trying to compete against the Detroit Tigers. So they're looking for a little extra offense from his bat. Willing to roll the dice on that.
Yeah, well, and he had a great opportunity last half inning. Bases juiced, one out. He just went a little bit out of his comfort zone, and ODORIZZI is able to retire him. But yeah, that will be the challenge for the Royals, is to fend off the teams behind them. You think about the Indians and the Twins, and then try to catch the Tigers.
Counts 1-1 to James Loney. Loney had 3 hits last night in Detroit. 2-1. There's Logan Forsythe on deck.
There they are again.
Right up the line on both sides. And a number barehanded, picked up, and the throw to first in the dirt. Hosmer cannot scoop it. And Loney is aboard. Boy, that ball troubled from the time he squibbed it off the end of the bat. Shields had a little trouble corralling it to begin with.
He tried to go barehand. It was already by him. Then he recovers, grabs it, but as you can see, never really was able to get a good grip on that baseball. The low throw. And Eric Hosmer, he could have helped him out, made a nice play there to save it, but not able to, and that gets Loney down to first base.
It's going to go as an infield hit for Loney. He's on base with one man away, and here is Logan Forsythe. Logan now hitting .247.
All three of the home runs coming on the last road trip.
He hit .361 on the road trip. It's down and away. Toyota trend on that road trip. Matt Joyce, some healthy averages there. .364, then Forsythe, then Zobrist, and Desmond Jennings got hot, especially in Detroit.
Boy, look at those extra base hits across the board, and you're right. Everybody chipping in.
Two balls and a strike. Forsythe missing the fastball.
See, these are the counts right here that Shields is not used to being in. 2-1, they're usually flipped 1-2. This is a guy that pitches the best, like most everybody, from being out in front. He does it as well as anybody.
Pulls even here with a called strike.
And that's been a little bit of a struggle for him recently also, falling behind just a little bit more than he's used to.
Forsythe, that's a foul tip strikeout, says Scott Berry. And the second out of the inning.
Well, that was a changeup, and that could have been a strikeout. They called it on the foul tip right here. That probably was a strike regardless, because it was right out over the heart of the plate. You'll see right here, just grazes that ball into the glove of Perez.
Sean Rodriguez. Shot at .246 with 8 home runs. First pitch in for a strike. Well, that ball just had a little movement right at the end. You could see Rodriguez thinking he was on it, and then it moved. One ball, one strike.
Shields, he will cut. You know, he throws the fastball, traditional fastball, then he'll cut it. Also has the curveball, and of course the changeup. And that cutter, he'll cut it away from righties. Almost he uses it very similar to how David Price uses his. David will cut it away from left-handed hitters, use it almost like a slider, and then backdoor it to the righties.
High fly ball, straight away center. CAIN back for it, not yet to the track. And the Rays finished in the bottom of the second, leaving a man, no score, onto the third. 3. Just a reminder, time is running out to get your Rays Flex Packs. These 3, 6, or 9 game packs allow you to choose your games and offer huge savings. Great member-only rewards and special promotions throughout the season. So don't forget to get in on the action by submitting your Flex photos using hashtag Rays Flex Friday. You can be featured in Friday's broadcast. Flex packs are only available until July 13th. So buy now before they're gone. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com.
Nobody does it better than Callis. Nobody.
He's a natural. Just a natural.
And he was into that, too. I mean, that face, he's grunting.
Yeah, it's method acting.
He's the best.
1 strike the count on CAIN. Breaks his bat. Hits it on the ground to Zobrist, and the throw close, and they just got him.
You want to talk about court awareness? You got to know your base runners and have that little internal clock in your head. And Ben Zobrist understands Lorenzo Cain can run and the ball not hit that hard, so he gets rid of it quickly. Strong throw, and they do just get it. It's close, but they got him.
And you know what helped him is right on the beginning as how he caught that ball. Hand, glove, ball right there, up and out.
That's right. If the hand's away from the glove, that play does not get made. You're absolutely right. It was hovering, ready to get it out of there. Quick feet and throw. You just got to love the way that the Rays middle infield has been playing here the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been solid, and no surprise that it has coincided with this great run the Rays have had, because they have been steady and solid up the middle. That duo there of Zobrist and Forsythe.
Yeah, and you know, listen, Forsythe has made some highlight reel plays. He's diving. He's quick with his hands and feet. Good at turning the double play. He's been tremendous defensively. Ben Zobrist, kind of reminds you of J.J. Hardy. Not going to blow you away being flashy, but they just make every play. They get the throw out on time. Always do a tremendous job. And you just, you know, right now, up the middle defensively. Right here. I mean, that's textbook. Now you got to go. Understand Cain's going quick, strong throw, just gets it.
Yep. Good work. 2-2 the count to Hosmer, and he just missed in off the plate. The count is full. So we'll see another 3-2 pitch to Eric Hosmer. With Perez, the catcher, on deck. He's going to carry out a play. They go to Rizzi. Out of the reach of Longoria. Base hit the other way by Hosmer.
Yeah, that was a pretty impressive swing there by Eric Hosmer on what looked to be a full count changeup down and away. He went down. He's strong enough to go down and get this pitch. Ball's off the plate away, and he just shoots it the other way. You know, he's another one of those guys, kind of, you know, he's now on 360 at bats this year. And just 4 home runs. Big, strong guy. You think he'd have more than that. That was a very nice piece of hitting right there.
There's a curveball that's breaking enough to get in there for a strike. Off speed at 70. Wasn't the best curve that he's thrown, but had enough break to find the zone. And that change of speed tantalizes the hitter. Now a base hit into left. Hosmer stops at second.
You know, the one thing, Dwayne, that he does with that curveball that really helps him is when he uses it. You know, he doesn't throw it a ton, but most of the time he throws it early in the count. A lot of times first pitch. Hitters typically aren't going up there looking for a 68, 69 mile an hour curveball, and it's been his ability to throw it for strikes to get ahead of you that's made other pitches effective. And then at the same time, they're thinking, well, I just saw it, so will he come back to it? He's put it in the back of their mind.
2 on. Here's Alex Gordon. First pitch. Fastball for a strike.
Yeah, the key with those secondary pitches that may be down the list a little bit of usage is to use them in situations where it's not going to hurt you. And that's what Jake has been able to do with that pitch. Although he's going to have to make a couple of big ones here again.
Line drive into right. That's going to be in there for a base hit. Big hop to Kiermaier. His throw is headed toward third. Safe there. Back to second. Safe there. The run scores. And out of that, not only do they get a run, but they get 2 men in scoring position.
Rookie mistake right there, and Kevin knows it. Kevin knows it. You see him put his head down and kind of slap his leg. You know, this is a guy who plays all out all the time. That's what you're going to get. And what he does here is he gets to this ball, spins, and just fires it in here. No rhyme or reason where this thing is headed. And that overthrow of any cutoff man is what allows Gordon to get up to second base, and that's what you cannot have happen.
So now 2 men are in scoring position. The chance for the force play, double play, goes away. And here's Omar Infante, who's been one of the better hitters not only on this team but in the league with men in scoring position.
Well, this is why Kansas City brought him in. Kansas City last year had the 2nd worst offensive production from second base in Major League Baseball. So they brought him in on a 4-year deal, and this is the big reason why. These types of situations.
Now it's a 2-ball, no strike count. There Perez at third, Gordon at second. He reached on the single and moved to second on the throw. Jake behind in the count and misses again. That's ball 3. 3-0.
You do not want to lose Infante here at 3-0. Obviously, runners on second and third that would load the bases. Mike Moustakas, who's Kansas City's probably hottest hitter right now, on deck, even though the average is sub 200.
And swinging 3-0 on the fastball. Infante fouls it back. Well, with a couple men in scoring position, he was going for it.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't get the sign, I guess that means I can swing. You know, you trust a veteran hitter like Infante to be able to make the correct decision.
Ground ball to short. Zobrist with the throw to first, and Perez crosses the plate. Gordon stays at second. Infante picks up the run batted in to make it a 2-0 ball game.
You know, and with different pitchers on the mound, you might see Joe Madden in that situation have the infield in, but ODORIZZI, he is a clear fly ball pitcher, so the odds of that ground ball are low, and he does not want to give up the big inning. And so that's why you saw the Rays basically concede that run.
Here's Mike Moustakas, the third baseman. And he throws that curveball, but again, this one not a lot of break to it, and it's out of the zone.
No, he threw one good one to Hosmer. The last 2 have not been very good at all, and that's a big pitch for him because it typically allows him to get ahead in the count right away.
And it's pop right side, foul ball. And Sean Rodriguez makes the catch. Top half of the inning over, but 2-run score for Kansas City.
Nothing lead heading to the bottom half of the third inning. Amongst all the things David Price appreciated about the time James Shields was here, one of them certainly was the fact that he took the ball every 5 days and would end up invariably with 33 starts, matching his number.
He set that standard of being healthy every fifth day whenever it was his turn to go out there and give us a chance to win, and that's what he did. Whether or not he had his best stuff, you knew he was going to go deep into that game and keep us in the game. So that was something that we all kind of picked up on. You know, his work ethic in between starts. You know, he puts himself in a good chance to be successful.
And we saw Price pull a Shields earlier this year where he allowed 5 in the first and went on to go 8 innings and give his team a chance, and the Rays would eventually win that game, guys.
Yep, you're right about that, and that's a great legacy. If you're going to leave a club and you have younger pitchers there, what a positive influence that is to have carry over and remain with the team you left. And you've got to give them a lot of credit for that.
A lot of guys, similar situation, they're about themselves. They don't, you know, of course they're going to eyewash and try to help out teammates, but they're too worried about what they're doing. And so you're absolutely right. As much of a positive influence he was on those younger pitchers and continues to be, and Price obviously one of them. Price trying to do the same thing himself.
Escobar at shortstop making the play on Hannigan, and so that's the first out. Well, I think you do see that go from one generation to the next as we see some of the great work Shields did in a Rays uniform. You know, he affected Price and the younger pitchers. Price, I think, has done the same thing with guys like Chris Archer. I think Archer looks to Price the way Price looked to Shields. And there is that tradition in baseball, and I guess it's still as prevalent as it used to be. That was a big thing in this game for generations, and it's nice to see that. Here's Kiermaier. Pitch is a strike. There's one into right center field. We'll watch Kiermaier take off for an extra base, and he is in there well ahead of the throw. Kevin Kiermaier with a 2-base hit.
And that never should have been a double. Never should have been a double at all. You see the pitch by Shields, a little bit of changeup. It stayed up. And Kiermaier drops this out in right center field, but it takes a little while for Ibanez to get there. The arms not that strong, and Kiermaier just never. I mean, that's the way he's going to run all the time. Ball off the bat, he's thinking double, unless you force him to stay at first. And there was none of that happening there.
Yeah, it's great to see that hustle, and it happens on every play with him.
The downside is you get the one hop in right field spin and just fire it somewhere. That's it.
Desmond Jennings takes one low. Well, and we've talked about him sometimes, and I reference it as sometimes he'll outrun himself in the outfield. He runs himself into situations just like we saw out there. It all comes out of honest effort and hustle, but you have to slow it down just a little bit there and keep yourself under control.
Part of the learning process. That's exactly what it is. Still an awful young player here at the big league level.
1-1 to count to Desmond.
The one thing that you can't teach that people have or they don't is that ability to go hard all the time.
Yep.
And he goes harder all the time than anybody that we've seen.
Yeah, and for that, it's hard for fans not to root for a guy like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that effort is right there on the top of what you want to see.
Or announcers.
Absolutely. Well, sure.
I mean, I'm sorry.
We love what we see there.
Caught up into it, and you're absolutely right. It's just, it's awesome to see.
Yeah, now you're giving secrets away.
Only one.
Little chat there with Perez and Shields on the mound. The Rays have their first base runner in scoring position with Kiermaier. Top of the order up here, Jennings and Zobrist to follow him. And the pitch is down.
Yeah,
it's 2-2.
I think the one thing that we realize from sitting up here and having obviously played the game is errors and things like that happen. Bad decisions, they happen. But the one thing that you need to have, the one thing that you want to have, the one thing you can't stand if you don't have it is effort. That's it.
Ground ball short. And over to first. That's close there. Out there. Kiermaier took off, and Escobar looked toward third. Any other runner, he might have gone there, but he also didn't have anybody to throw it to at that time.
And his feet weren't set. There was a lot of things going wrong here, but this ball out in front, again, this is not a good base running play there by Kiermaier. He gets there because of a couple of different factors, but a ground ball in front of you that far, probably don't want to be taken off for third base, maybe running yourself into an out. But I'll say this, Escobar having to decide, can't go there, almost didn't get Jennings at first.
Now Ben Zobrist trying to get the Rays on the board. Pitch is too low.
And right there you saw Mike Moustakas come from way off the bag and immediately head to third base, thinking that maybe Kiermaier might get a little bit long with his secondary lead and they could fire in a throw behind him.
Two balls, no strikes. Shields making his 111th regular season start here at Tropicana Field, his first as a visiting player. And another good take by Zobrist, 3-0.
Well, you'd love to get Matt Joyce to the plate here. He's swinging the bat much better. And that start that Shields had against the Rays last year in Kansas City, Joyce hit a first inning 2-run homer off of him. So he's had some success.
That's a strike. 3-1. We'll look at this pitch. It's a combination of 3-0 and a veteran who's around the plate call right there. And ball 4. So that'll put men at first and third. Having said that, Scott Berry is behind the plate, and his body of work shows that he's been pretty consistent. And I think if you talk to pitchers and hitters, they wouldn't tell you that he favors one over the other. He's pretty consistent with his calls, and that's all you can ask for.
That's the key word. Consistency of zone. You don't have to particularly like the zone, but if it's consistent, you know what you have to work with.
Now Matt Joyce. It's low and a nice block by Perez. 1 ball, no strikes.
Yeah, he very athletic catcher. Big body, athlete. Watch him slide here. This ball gets yanked.
And, you know, he's a big guy. I mean, he's bigger than the average catcher, but he's still agile back there. Big cut, a foul ball. He's out of that Sandy Alomar Jr. mold. He was a pretty good sized catcher back there.
Very big. 6'5". And watch Perez, though, when he goes to get into his stance to make himself more athletic. Watch right here. Give the sign. Now he gets up just a little bit. That allows him to be a little bit more of an athlete.
1-2. Matt Joyce came into this game 2 of 5 against Shields with the home run that you mentioned. You know, they list Perez as only 6'3", and they list Shields as 6'3", but you put them together and Perez is taller.
Let's do that.
Pitches down 2-2.
We'll get Todd to interview them together.
Yeah.
And all under the guise of who's taller.
Yeah.
I don't care about what they have to say. I just want to see who's taller.
Yeah, there you go. He just went to the mound.
Well, you can hear one of them right now saying, "What, really, you're going to interview us back to back? Why? Shoes off? What do you mean shoes off?"
Oh, strike 3 call. Fastball catches Joyce looking. And the Rays leave 2 men aboard. Through 3, 2-0 Kansas City. Now time for you to tweet your photo using hashtag SunSportsFanPhoto. for a chance to have it shown in our broadcast later in the game. Brought to you by AT&T. Billy Butler, the DH, takes the first pitch for a strike. Kansas City put up 2 runs in the third. 3 hits got the job done for them, and a ground ball drove in a run. Butler, a big cut. He misses.
Pitch recognition not very strong on that delivery from ODORIZZI. That was a changeup. Well out in front of the plate. Billy Butler did not. I mean, he took a hack at that pitch.
You know, the Royals find themselves in an interesting situation with Butler. He's had a multi-year deal. I think next year is the option year. The club has the option, and the salary goes from somewhere from about $8 to $12 million. And he pretty much is now a one-dimensional player as a DH. And the trend tends to be DH with multiple abilities and not just that one-dimensional guy as the DH. So they like more flexibility. Without that, they certainly like power, and now they're not getting any flexibility and no power from him. It'll be interesting to see what happens there.
You know, Billy Butler, basically, I don't know if he ever had a position. I mean, this is a guy that almost came into the organization as a designated hitter. I mean, that's been his role. So the versatility is really never going to be there. However, if there's big-time production, you would pay for that.
Yeah.
But you're getting, you know, home runs that have been decreasing at a pretty alarming rate. Average that's been decreasing at a pretty alarming rate. That number, that would be tough to swallow if there's not a huge second half from Billy Butler. That's a big number for a team like Kansas City. If he's giving them 25, 35 home runs a year, hitting around 300 and driving in 100, yeah, you pay 12 all day long.
Yeah, well, 2 years ago, that's what they got. You see right there, 29 and 107.
Yeah, where it's headed, that's not in that realm anymore.
Yeah. One out, Ibanez the hitter. Well, and that lack of production from a couple of hitters that they had counted on leads to them bringing in Ibanez, and that creates an odd imbalance with their team. He's out on strikes. Missed the changeup.
We talked about why the Royals brought in Omar Infante. The offensive production at second base was so bad. Well, he was almost as bad in right field. And that's why they went out to get Nori Aoki. That hasn't worked out so well. So now, right, you're looking for anybody. And a productive right fielder offensively is not something that's very easy to find.
Escobar takes the curveball, and that's outside the zone. Alcides Escobar, 1-0. That's a strike. Speaking of productive outfielders, Nelson Cruz has hit a 2-run home run for Baltimore in their game with the Nationals in Washington. That's Chris Tillman against Steven Strasburg. And the Orioles have a 2-0 lead. There's a ball that gets away from Longoria. And Escobar is aboard. Sharply hit. Evan just slightly to his right. And that's going to go as a base hit.
Sounded like shin, too. Let's see. Yep, got him right in that right foot ankle area. Rolled up that leg. Now, this will be an interesting little battle right here because ODORIZZI not very easy to run on, and yet Alcides Escobar is 21 out of 23 in stolen bases.
Yeah, and with 2 outs, you figure he's going to take off.
Yeah, a question of when, not if.
You know, if you go back into last year, he's only been thrown out twice in his last 50 attempts.
Both obviously coming this year. And this, like I said, you go ahead and do it. But ODORIZZI, and then with Hannigan back there, this is a combination that's not easy to run on.
Ooh, way high there. ODORIZZI rushing that one to the plate.
And you start to think about those 21 stolen bases, and that's why having a base stealer for obvious reasons is important to a ball club, but even for reason when he doesn't run, because you're thinking about him. And if you're thinking about him, then you're not 100% into the delivery home, and that can lead to some pitches that hang.
It's a strike. 1-1. In the bottom of the second at Boston, the White Sox lead the Red Sox 1-0. Start of that game was delayed because of a tornado watch in Boston. Move to first. Back in. Alcides Escobar aboard with 2 outs. It's fouled out of play. It's 1-2. Out, but nothing doing, and Hannigan found himself reaching for that one.
Yeah, I mean that you're trying to get Escobar thinking a 1-2 count. You're going to maybe come with the changeup, something off speed, a better pitch to run on, and the Rays guessing that that was going to be the case with Escobar. He was not going anywhere.
Now move to first, and he is back in there.
And this may be the pitch that you're thinking about going, because you're thinking no way the Rays are going to pitch out to go to 3-2.
Yeah, they've got great speed at first. They've got CAIN at the plate, who's second in the American League with men in scoring position at 378. And Escobar would like to get himself into scoring position. Fly ball to center, though. Jennings backs up and makes the catch to retire the side. Home half of inning 4 coming. 2-0 Kansas City. Sports presented by Tradewinds Island Resort. So many ways to just let go on St. Pete Beach. And by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. visit us at Publix.com. Beautiful west coast of Florida. We head into the bottom of the fourth inning here at the Trop. James Shields and Jake Odorizzi, the pitching matchup. Rays opening this 3-game series against Kansas City. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and off day. And then the Blue Jays are in over the weekend. Here's Evan Longoria taking a strike. Boy, if the Rays could take this series from Kansas City and then have the Blue Jays come in leading up to the break, that could really position them well. 2 strikes. And Longoria out on strikes. Tried to check, but he had offered at the breaking ball.
A couple of good off-speed pitches here by James Shields, and there's the breaking ball down and off the plate. Evan a little bit too far on that, trying to protect the 2. Now that's why, you know, Dwayne, going back to what you were talking about, this homestand, what they're able to do over these 6 games. It'll be interesting to see where they're at when that all-star break rolls around. The ground that they've made up in a short period of time has been very impressive. And you've got a team here, you know, a tough team you're going to have to handle for 3, a day to regroup, and then 3 against Toronto, another series where you can, you know, you have all the say in what Toronto's going to do those last 3 games, and that's where you make up your ground the quickest.
There's a strike. And LONEY, and Encarnacion is gone for at least a couple of weeks, maybe longer.
And that did not look good.
All 2, 2-1. Well, this Kansas City club has not been easy for the Rays in the last few seasons. We got Gordon and Moustakas after this one, but it's just back of the bullpen. 2-2. Rays have gone 4-12 against Kansas City since 2012.
Yeah, really, the American League Central has given the Rays all kinds of trouble. Kansas City, obviously, a big reason why. We've got a losing record against the Central again this year.
Yeah, they're 7-10 against the Central Division. They've recovered a bit, and they're 18-20 against the East. High popper, shallow left toward the line for Gordon. 2 outs in the 4th.
Second baseman, Logan Forsythe.
Well, you can see what the Rays have done. Their last 25 and the ground they picked up in the American League East. And what that 18-20 record against the East tells you is that they're going to have to continue head-to-head to make up ground right there.
That's the key. I mean, they've got their work cut out for them across the board, but within the division, you can't play well. You have to play great.
Yep.
And that's just the way that it's going to break down.
Logan Forsythe takes a strike at the knees.
That's the only way to assure yourself of moving up the ladder. You can't rely on the wild card race against teams that you may not play again, or you're relying them to lose against teams that are not in your division, and all those things. You have to win. Listen, if it works out, you get a wild card, great. But you are going to make your biggest moves against your own division. You've got plenty of games against your own division left, starting with the 3 this weekend against Toronto, and that is where you have to make hay, and you have to do it better than being good.
Yeah, the way it stacks up right now, the best shot, the better shot of the 2 would be to win the division.
Yep. Yeah. It's all right in front of you. I'll tell you the other thing that I think is going to be huge is when you pass a team, so they were in the basement for so long, when you flip spots with Boston and they go below you, you can't give up ground. For your own mental well-being, you get out of that basement, you don't go back.
Cut and a miss. Forsythe out on strikes. 1, 2, 3 go the Rays. 5 strikeouts for Shields. 2-0 Kansas City. Kansas City scored 2 in the third. Jake Odorizzi against James Shields. It'll be Eric Hosmer, the top side of the order. Hosmer, the number 2 man. Then Perez and Gordon. Odorizzi's had a couple little sequences of hitters here where he has struggled with his control. He got out of it in the second and was touched for a couple runs in the third. First pitch is a strike to Hosmer. So he starts to work his way through the lineup now for the third time. Here he is opening the fifth. Big cut, the foul ball out of play, 0-2.
The way that Shields is throwing the ball right now, you're not going to be able to give up much more. You're going to keep it right here at a 2-run deficit.
And Hosmer is out on strikes, went up with a fastball. Hosmer tried to check up there, but could not. He's out on strikes.
Odorizzi gets a lot of guys to chase fastballs up in the zone, but even this is extreme for him.
Look how high that was on the third pitch. Up around 90. That's how tantalizing a pitch up is to a hitter.
And you understand, between the belt and the letters, but when you start going 90 at the neck, you're getting greedy. Getting greedy.
1-1 to count. Hot shot to third, and Longoria takes this one and makes the throw. That ball was hit hard by Perez. 2 gone.
Boy, third base, you have got to be ready at all times. Guy turns on a baseball, catches it out in front with the barrel. It is going to get on you quickly. You don't have a whole lot of time to react.
Alex Gordon pitches a strike. One and one. Into the dirt. Look out. Hannigan and Berry practically running for their lives on that changeup in the dirt.
Jake Odorizzi just coming apart a little bit. That delivery coming down that mound. I think he might have caught a cleat. Stumble there.
And he gets Gordon, expanding the strike zone. Came back with another changeup and strikes him out. Bottom of the fifth coming, 2-0 Kansas City. Of the fifth. If you love rock and roll, don't miss the Joan Jett and the Blackhearts post-game concert Saturday. First catch the Rays take on the Blue Jays. Then stick around to see Joan Jett sing some of her biggest hits, including I Love Rock and Roll and Bad Reputation. For tickets, visit RaysBaseball.com/concerts or call 888-FAN-RAYS. Sean Rodriguez will open the inning. Sean 0 for 1 tonight, 0 for 4 in his career against Shields. The first pitch in there for a strike. Cut to that one.
That's exactly how we started Sean out in his last at bat to get ahead.
And then back with a fastball.
Yeah, that right there is the brilliance of James Shields and a starting pitcher. He's been working him away, so you get ahead, and all of a sudden you feel like Rodriguez is going to start leaning out over the plate, and you pop that fastball in, freeze him, and get a strike out of it. Now you're 0-2 and can do whatever you want.
And he strikes him out, and boy, he did. He did whatever he wanted. That was classic James Shields right there. Finished him with a curveball.
Well, that sequence was something to be seen. First pitch, cutter away, strike one. Fastball in, right on the corner, strike two. Curveball below the zone. Good luck.
Yeah, it's a tough at bat for anybody with those pitches.
And never saw the changeup.
Yeah, how about
What
that?
you're
Oh,
kinda
and
waiting for.
What's your specialty? Pretty good changeup. I'm not even going to throw it. And here you go. 1, 2, 3. Have a seat. Struck out 4 of the last 5 hitters he's faced now, and that's not a good sign either. Hannigan looks at a fastball a little bit outside, 1-0.
We've just seen it too many times. Once he's able to get on a roll, he's tough to get off track.
You saw the expression on Sean's face in the dugout, and that's a great shot of Sean. Said, hey, look. He says, I've seen that when I was behind him, and now I'm seeing it here. Look at this. That was some great stuff right there. Wow. Just missed there. Pretty close with a breaking pitch. It's 2-1. Kiermaier on deck. Out to short. Escobar with some time. So a strikeout and a ground out. 2 up and 2 down. Tuesday, July 15th. Baseball's best gather in Minnesota as the captain, Derek Jeter, takes the field in his last All-Star game ever in what promises to be an emotional and unforgettable night. Special coverage begins at 4:30 on Fox Sports 1. It'll be followed by the 2014 All-Star game at 7:30 on Fox. Here's Kiermaier taking a strike. Rays collected 3 hits, 1 each in the first 3 innings. It's 1-1. It's down around Kiermaier's feet. And again, that runs the count to 2-1.
Move your feet. Talk about it all the time. He's caused Kiermaier to have to jump out of there twice, but now he's fallen behind.
Cut and a miss. 2-1 changeup evens the count. Count is full. Kiermaier doubled in the 3rd. Since then, only a walk to Ben Zobrist. Kiermaier fouls it, staying alive. 3-2 changeup.
And, you know, Shields tried to throw that for a strike. You know, he threw one the previous pitch and bounced it, and that one almost came back to bite him there because that stayed up and out over the plate. And that's what the Rays want to see.
And not that one. Swing and a miss. Change up, breaking down, got him. 1, 2, 3, go the Rays. 2-0 Kansas City.
All-Star team as the ultimate honor, but he also thinks 2 of his Rays teammates deserve the opportunity as well. Here's a tweet he sent out last night, and thank you to everyone for congratulating Tweets for being an All-Star. Jake McGee and Arch could/should have been there. And he's got a point. As you can see in these stats, Chris Archer has been putting together incredible pitching performances with an ERA lower than Bryce's at 3.16. And reliever Jake McGee, well, he leads the American League relievers with an ERA right there, 1.16. Has not allowed a run in 39 of his 42 appearances. Now, Dwayne NBA, we talked to him before the game, and Jake says while he did get excited with the hype of the possibility, he said not making the team allows him more time with his new daughter that'll be born this week.
Yeah, and that's the ultimate prize, but you know, kind of bittersweet not going to the All-Star game because Jake has pitched so well. But I'll tell you, he's in store for a grand event, and we wish them well. Ramos already with a daughter, and we wish them the best and congratulate them. Caesar and Melanie.
Life changer. Absolutely a life changer.
I'll tell you.
You realize how important your job as a parent is very quickly.
Nothing changes your life more.
No.
Nothing.
No.
Fonte is out on strikes. Nice job there. A 1-2 slider. Odorizzi picks up strikeout number 6. He struck out 3 of the last 4 men he's faced.
You know, this is a guy right here coming into play of all pitchers with 80 or more innings. His strikeout rate would have ranked 6th in Major League Baseball. 10.29 strikeouts per 9 innings. This is no fluke.
Moustakas taking a pitch that stayed wide. That curveball, it has been a little more erratic. 2-0 now than we've seen in the past with it. He's really been a master of that pitch.
Well, if you can drop it in there for strikes, teams have to respect it. If you don't, then very shortly they'll start to disregard it if you're not using it, you know, in big spots. But for the most part, you know, he's able to throw that pitch for strikes. Tonight he struggled with it a little bit.
Moustakas a big cut and a miss on the fastball.
I've just never seen a guy with a 90 to 92 mile-an-hour fastball that's pretty straight be able to overpower hitters as often as he does. I mean, up in the zone, he's got that pitch down pretty well. But even that last one to Moustakas, there's another one.
There you go. He's out on strikes. That fastball, 91.
The league has not been able to make the adjustment on this pitch from Odorizzi. And now from start to start, you can just book it. You see it right here. Let it fly, middle of the plate up. Cannot do a thing with it.
Well, Billy Butler. There's a strike. Butler has walked and struck out. Pitch a little wide. So Odorizzi's retired 6 in a row. 4 of those on strikes. Strikeouts of Hosmer, Gordon, Infante, and Moustakas. Pitch inside, 2-1. And Shields has now retired 7 in a row, and 5 of those on strikes. 7 strikeouts for Odorizzi. Shields has 7. Missing just a bit low. 3-1.
And Jake wanted that pitch. Big difference. 2-2, 3-1.
The pitch fouled back, came in with a fastball to Butler.
Wasn't that long ago that you wouldn't do that. 3-1 heater and not even going for the corner. I mean, that ball, he just reared back and let it fly right down the chute. And still was not able to catch up with it.
Two, base hit up the middle. Came fastball there, 3-2. And it's a 2-out single.
And he juiced that. I'm going to tell you what, when you hit a ball back up the middle that hard that it's got a hump in it, the top spin that he put on that, he was all over that particular fastball. Jeez. Well, maybe you should still stay away from that pitch.
Just for survival purposes.
Yeah, there was no getting out of the way of that one.
Here's RAUL Ibanez. The cut the miss. Ibanez out in front. ODORIZZI struck him out with a changeup in the 4th. Starts him with one here in the 6th inning. That's up 1-1. Kelly was talking about the All-Star selections and David Price, and we congratulate David for being named to the All-Star team, his 4th selection in the last 5 All-Star teams. And he and Carl Crawford now share the team record for most selections to the All-Star team. Price coming off a victory last night in Detroit to run his record to 8-7. Cut the miss. Ibanez chased the fastball up. 3 strikeouts in the inning. 2-0 Kansas City. Kansas City scoring 2 in the 3rd. The RBIs belonging to Alex Gordon and Omar Infante. Shields 5 innings of shutout baseball, 7 strikeouts, and Jake ODORIZZI 6 innings of 2-run baseball with 8 strikeouts.
Settled into a pretty good pitcher's duel right here. And the Rays, if they're going to make some noise in this game, are going to have to do it in the second half of this game against a pitcher in James Shields, who's throwing the ball very well right now.
Yeah, Shields has shown all the signs of settling in the way he can. There's Kirby Yates in the bullpen. And there's a strike. Boy, that's a tough strike right there. Jennings Trying to check, and the pitch was in there.
That's a strike where you feel very fortunate that it takes 3 of them to get you.
Yeah. The foul ball down through the coaching box. 2. Shields, 32 years old, 13-game winner last year for Kansas City. Down toward the bullpen. Shake up the Kansas City bullpen a little bit. The way Shields has been throwing the ball, they've been relaxing down there. Well, until now.
Well, the play was not made. The play was not made, and there you go, breaking that glove in. See that? Taking care of him.
Ooh, Jennings out on strikes. Number 8.
That's where Shields will use that cutter. Sometimes he'll tighten up the break and throw it harder. Other times he'll lengthen the break. This one at 84, almost use it like a slider away to the righties. And that is not how you pick up your target.
You're already headed to the target.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. And for Shields, it works.
Zobrist takes a curveball, first pitch for strike 1.
The one thing that he has to, and that's always been with him is if he gets a little bit too far that way, then the arm starts to drag and he's not able to get that changeup down in the zone like he likes it. And that's what, in talking with the Kansas City people and taking a look at some of his past outings, that's some of the things that you saw with his delivery, just coming unglued just a little bit, starting to open up a little bit. Same issues that he had here from time to time with the Rays. You're always tweaking that delivery. You're not going to feel 100% each and every time you go out there. And you're not a robot, much as you would like to be.
Yeah, and that's really, and you know this, having been there, how difficult it is to be robot-like, because it's about repeating a delivery.
Yeah.
Tough to do for mere mortals.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's why you see nowadays a lot of guys really simplifying their delivery. Think about David Price.
Yeah.
How simple his delivery is. James Shields, it's not very simple. I mean, he's got the little turn, the hands come up, big leg kick, that head starts to, fly towards the Rays dugout, and when it's in sync, he's unstoppable. But easier for his mechanics to come out of sync than maybe some other guys, because he's got a lot more going on. But David, boy, he just stands there almost cockeyed. There's a small little step, leg comes up, everything's simple. That's why he can repeat it. That's why he can throw strikes like he does.
A little tap back to the mound. Shields with a soft toss to first to Hosmer. 2 up and 2 down in the 6th inning. It's 9 in a row. Retired by James Shields. Well, the Rays had a little bit of an opportunity back in the 3rd inning. They had men at first and third with 2 outs, and Joyce was called out on strikes. That walk to Zobrist in the 3rd. The last base runner they've had. And that's a strike on the appeal down to Mark Carlson. Zobrist had a first inning base hit. Loney had an infield hit in the 2nd. Kiermaier had a double in the 3rd. There was also the inning in which Zobrist walked, and that has been it. One to Matt. 1-2. Well, with the arsenal of stuff that he'll give you, you're thinking this is just not easy.
No.
Curveball, changeup. There's a cutter. Now the fastball. He's hit 94 tonight. And Joyce went. Perez with a toss down to first. So that's the second strikeout of the inning. 9 in the game, and it's 2-0 Kansas City.
Inning, a little minor trade today for the Rays, and what it allowed them to do was sign a big-time prospect in the Dominican. The Rays traded with the Miami Marlins, Matt Ramsey, a right-hander who at the Double-A level was having a real nice season, a 1 ERA and 6 saves. But they get the second, third, and fourth round international bonus slots for the Marlins. And with those international bonus slots, they get the ability without penalty to sign Adrian Rondon. This kid just turned 16 today, and the Rays are really thrilled to get this guy under contract. He said, "This is what I've been dreaming about. I get up and work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. playing baseball." He is now a member of the Rays organization. There's a lot of people that think this kid could really move quickly. The 16-year-old today signs for just under $3 million with the Rays. Guys, back to you.
Kirby Yates will be the new pitcher. 6 innings for ODORIZZI tonight, 101 pitches for Jake. And here is Kirby Yates to face Alcides Escobar. One ball, no strikes, fastball. Outside corner, 1-1. Cut right there by Escobar, and he fouls the fastball back. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Joe Madden going to his bullpen and looking for zeros. 0, 0, 0, and hope that that offense can come up with something against Shields, because you know at this point he's got designs on finishing this game himself. Even though Kansas City's got a pretty strong bullpen, especially at the back end.
Pitch down. It's been over a year since Shields has gone the distance.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. We were talking about that before the game, and that was shocking to see. This is a guy who 2011 was it? Had 11 complete games in a season for the Rays.
Swing and a miss, reaching by Escobar. He's out on strikes. 9 strikeouts for Rays pitching. Tampa Bay Comic-Con night makes its first appearance when the Rays take on the Red Sox Friday, July 25th. Purchase this special event ticket and get a discounted seat in the press level and an excellent Raging Grant Balfour figurine. To add to your collection, for tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com/special events.
I want Todd in the crowd doing interviews all game long at Comic-Con. It'll be so much better than the game, you won't even believe it. I promise you.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
We'll have a night off, if you will.
Todd in the spotlight.
Todd at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than that.
One ball, two strikes. Yates worked 2 2/3 in the game Thursday against the Tigers. Gave up 1 hit, no runs, and struck out 2. It's way wide. Fastball 2-2. 6 innings for ODORIZZI, 101 pitches of 2 runs, 6 hit baseball, 8 strikeouts and 2 walks. Oviedo busy in the bullpen. And there's ball 3 to Lorenzo CAIN. To the left of Longoria through the hole between short and third. CAIN makes a big turn and hangs on.
From the way the Rays infield has been playing, ground balls go to die there. This one hit hard enough. You see Evan off a step and a dive and just not quite able to get there. The guy you got to keep your eye on over there at first base. 8 of 11 stolen bases.
Kansas City second in the league in steals coming into the game. Here's Hosmer. Yates does keep an eye on CAIN. Hosmer singled with 1 out in the third, and that led to the 2-run inning. He scored the first run. Runner goes. Pitch is a strike, and the throw not in time. Stolen base for CAIN.
Tell you what, CAIN was leaning. He was tipping. And you knew this was a guy you got to watch over there. And with Yates in there and not ODORIZZI, look at him leaning right there. And he is off and running. Easy stolen base. Hannigan had no shot.
White Sox have opened a 4-0 lead on the Red Sox at Boston. Diane Viciedo has hit a 3-run home run, his 11th of the year. And Washington and Baltimore are tied 2-2 in the top of the 7th in Washington. Broken bat. Rodriguez with the pickup. Yates covers. The barrel into that bat split in half. CAIN advances to third on the out at first base. Watch this bat.
Boy, that gets right up the handle even before the label. And it will be studied. Have we ever gotten any word on that study of the broken bats?
I think it's still going on. It's very intricate, very detailed. Just be patient.
Is there any reason why I'm sitting so much lower than you all of a sudden? Goodness gracious.
Because I deem it so. The pitch is side to Perez.
Hey, Dad, can I stay up
Everything's
late
going to be
tonight?
okay, son.
Can I sit in your lap next half inning?
What happened to that chair?
I mean, honest to goodness. Like I'm in a hole.
Oh, cut the miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. You work so hard to climb the ladder up. And just one night, suddenly.
You get sent back down.
1-1 the count. Gates misses low. 2 balls and a strike. We're in the top of the 7th with Lorenzo Cain at third. 2 outs. It's a 2-0 game. Kansas City with 2 runs in the 3rd. And that's been it. Pop up right side, foul. Rodriguez after it in a hurry with room. He's got it to retire the side. No runs, a hit, and a man left. 7th inning stretch time. 2-0 Kansas City. Welcome back to Tropicana Field. You see the line on James Shields, 87 pitches. No runs. He's given up just 3 hits and a walk, all the while striking out 9. And the Kansas City Royals make a move to further tighten up their defense in the outfield. Gerard Dyson is now in center field. Lorenzo Cain moves over to play right field. So Dyson goes into the 8th spot in the order. Ibanez leaves. First pitch is fouled. 1 strike to count. Herman Longoria up here. It's inside to Evan. And it's 1-1. Evan 0 for 2 tonight. Came into the game nothing of 2 against Shields. Oh, steps, and he's hit by that pitch. And the Rays have a base runner. So Longoria heads up the line.
Well, this could be the break that the Rays needed. A curveball that gets away from James Shields. He's obviously not very happy with himself. See the spike curve, and it just rolls in there. So got him right on that pad. And able to avoid a warning.
So the Rays put the leadoff man on base for the first time in an inning tonight. James Loney. Anytime the Rays get a man on, they have the tying run at the plate. Loney takes the pitch for a ball.
Shields coming into this start had given up 15 home runs, well above his career average. Home runs per 9 innings. In fact, his home run per 9 inning rate, the highest it's been since 2010.
It's a strike, and it's 1-1. Shields coming off 113 pitches his last time out. His pitch count has been excellent tonight. 87 through 6. It's upstairs. 2-1.
Overthrown just a little bit. Got underneath that changeup as he really got that front side spinning and heading towards home plate and pulling off a little bit too early. That's something to look for here, because even the 2 previous pitches to Loney were up and away. The strike at the top of the strike zone. This is where you can turn one loose a little bit.
And a high fly ball into short right field, where CAIN, who just moved over there, makes the catch.
Now that's the sign of a good veteran pitcher. He made the adjustment from the first couple of pitches to Loney and got right back down into the zone on the 2-1 changeup and got Loney out in front. Little adjustments on the fly in big spots sometimes make the difference in ball games.
Logan Forsythe. A couple of strikeouts against Shields in this game. Strike call, snapped out to first, and back in goes Longoria. That's the other component that you see out of this Kansas City club, with Perez behind the plate. Great arm.
Very good. And you talk about a team that limits stolen bases. They've given up the fewest stolen bases in the American League. And a big reason why resides behind the plate. Shields pretty good at controlling the running game himself.
1-1. Shields missing with a fastball. 7-0 for Kansas City, 0-3-0 for the Rays.
Forsythe, he's been very good at going back up the middle, especially in these kind of situations.
Fouled out of play down the right side.
Had a breakout in the power department on the last road trip. Went on that trip with no home runs. Comes home a week and a half later with 3.
All the while hitting .361 on that trip. Sean Rodriguez had a great trip. It was 10 out of 21. Matt Joyce hit .364. Forsythe .361. Zobrist .354. That takes the count to 2-2 as Forsythe took the changeup too low. Forsythe swings and he misses. Changeup disappeared on him.
Well, he threw that one with conviction. He really sells the farm on this middle of the plate. Seen that too many times. Out of the hands of James Shields. This time as a visitor.
So he reaches double figures with 10 strikeouts. He had 12 earlier this year in his 4th start of the season against Houston. Want to know the count to Sean Rodriguez. That was also his deepest game in terms of innings pitched. It's the only time he's pitched more than 7 was when he went 8 innings in Houston on the 17th of April. Struck out 12 and walked 2. Big cut and a miss. He has 10 strikeouts tonight. He's given up 1 walk and has hit a man. Rays picked up 3 hits, 1 each in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd innings. Two balls and a strike. Rays had Oviedo up in their bullpen, and Peralta has joined him. Rodriguez with a 2-1 count. Ground ball 3rd. Moustakas takes it down to 2nd to Infante, and the 7th inning is over. On to the 8th, 2-0 Kansas City. Rehab starts under his belt, and the 30-day rehab assignment expired. Will make his season's debut. It'll be tomorrow against the Royals here. Our coverage begins at 6:30 on Sun Sports. Jeremy Hellickson will be opposed by Jason Vargas.
Be anxiously awaiting the return of Jeremy Hellickson and see what he looks like this year. It's been a long time since we've seen Jeremy pitch.
Hellickson goes into the rotation with Eric Bedard shuttled to the bullpen. And as we know, Hellickson had a little difficulty in the rehab starts until the last one. And there's Eric Bedard down there. Well, one thing you know for sure about Bedard, he's stretched out now.
Oh, yeah. He covers some ground for you. Well, coming in for the Rays here to start this top of the 8th inning. Juan Carlos Oviedo on for the 30th time. You see his numbers across the board. That opponent's average at 181 you like.
Alex Gordon, the first hitter to face him, and a long one down the right side, but he's out in front. Home run distance, but fortunately for the Rays, a foul ball.
That's one way to jump out in front.
And how about that young man? Very alert, has himself a souvenir.
And probably didn't think when he sat in those seats that a ball was going to come his way. That's deep. And yet there he is.
There's a liner up the right side. This one will be fair. One hop against the wall, played by Kiermaier. And into second base, Alex Gordon with a leadoff double. So the first man aboard on the two-base hit. As promised earlier in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo, the hashtag #SunSportsFanPhoto, for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast. Brought to you by AT&T. It's Wade Davis down in the bullpen. He's having a very good year out of that bullpen for Kansas City. Been in charge of the 8th inning. Here's Infante dropping one into shallow right, just inside the line. Gordon's going to score. The ball bounds away from Kiermaier. Infante's going to head to third, and the throw is not in time.
You know, Omar Infante almost treated that as a ball that went out of play as he got to second base, really taking his good old time getting over to third. That should not have even been close, as Kiermaier, you talked earlier, Dwayne, about at times he will overrun himself. Well, he overran the baseball here. Ball that drops in off the bat of Infante, just runs it, whiffs it, and watch Infante right here.
So a double and an error. Infante drives in the run. Now he's at third. Infield close, and the pitch is down. A changeup to Mike Moustakas. Moustakas up here with a walk, fouled out to first, and struck out swinging in the 6th. Fly ball, right field. Kiermaier to the line on the run. He's got this one. That ball just fair, and unloads it back to the infield. But Infante scores on what turns out to be a sacrifice fly.
Kiermaier is constant action. Here he's going to try to cut the run off at the plate. Nifty, missed the wall, and then just spin an airmail.
So just this quickly, Kansas City has opened the lead to 4. Here's Butler. It's a strike. One and one. Chopper down to third for Longoria. With the second out. Gordon and Infante have scored the runs. To go with the 2 the Royals scored back in the 3rd. Gerard Dyson will get his first trip to the plate since taking over in the outfield. Takes a big cut, the fastball. Strike one. ODORIZZI for 6. And Yates for 1. And Oviedo touched for a couple of runs here in this inning. It's 1-1. ODORIZZI's strikeout per 9 inning rate now, with the 8 strikeouts in 6 innings tonight. 10.4 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Goes up.
That's going to go through the right side, and Dyson is aboard. So that's the 3rd hit given up by Oviedo, and that'll make that run earned.
Shortstop, Alcides Escobar.
Here's Escobar. Escobar had the infield hit in the 4th, down to 3rd. It's 1 for 3. Dyson back in at first. Right hand extended to the back side of the bag. Dyson with very good speed. Strike one.
You know, it's hard to think, too, with that leg kick of Oviedo, that he would not be off and running here. 4-run lead, sure. But I don't think any manager is content with a 4-run lead. I don't care what inning it is. You got a pretty good-sized lead, too.
And he draws a throw over there again. Kansas City has 10 hits tonight. 6 of those came off ODORIZZI in 6 innings. Big cut and a miss by Escobar. Dyson singled into right. So far he has stayed put at first. Now he goes. Good jump. Pitch popped up. Forsythe and Rodriguez. Going to be Sean Rodriguez making this catch. 2-run score in the inning. We go to the bottom of the 8th. 4-0 Kansas City. Rays and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Tampa Bay Rays. It's getting late here. Rays running out of innings. That little one has already run out of innings. Wade Davis, the new pitcher, former Ray, with outstanding numbers in this role, working the 8th inning. First pitch is a strike to Ryan Hanigan.
Big strikeout numbers, 58, a little over 36 innings. Look at those differences in the numbers, huge when it comes down to relief. He can really air it out coming out of the pen.
Hanigan is down in the count, 0-2.
You know, there were times that we would see Wade, as he was a starter, almost try to pace himself. But coming out of the bullpen, as we've seen, 94 in the first fastball, 90 miles an hour on that slider.
One ball, 2 strikes. Couple of ground balls to shortstop for Hanigan tonight. Two and two. Out of Lake Wales. And he throws that ball right by him, and that hit 97.
I mean, power, fastball, 4-seamer. Hanigan caught a piece of it, very small piece. But that is high octane heat.
11th strikeout for Kansas City pitching. Shields worked 7 innings, struck out 10, walked 1, gave up 3 hits, no runs. He also hit a man. 7 innings, 103 pitches. Kiermaier takes ball 1.
And you knew when you see James Shields get on a little bit of a roll how tough it can be. And that's exactly what we saw after the first couple of innings. He really locked it in and started to cruise, making big pitch after big pitch.
Kiermaier lifts a fly ball into center. Dyson is there for this. Kiermaier has the last Rays hit. That was a 1-out double back in the 3rd. And the only other base runner the Rays were to get beyond the 3rd. Zobrist also walked in that inning. But beyond the 3rd, the only base runner the Rays have had was Longoria, who was hit by a pitch.
Yeah, and you know, you look at the middle innings, 4th, 5th, and 6th, 9 up, 9 down with 6 strikeouts, and that's where he really put a stranglehold on this game.
Now here's Desmond Jennings with the bases empty and 2 gone. Pitch darts in there for a strike. Fastball by him. 0-2. Wade made 7 relief appearances last year for Kansas City. 24 starts. Was 8-11 with a .532 earned run average. In shutdown mode out of the bullpen, and there is strike 3 called. 1-2-3 go the Rays. On to the 9th, 4-0 Kansas City.
Royals up 4-0. And tomorrow, join us at 6:30 for Rays Live, the pregame show. Driven by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers, Jeremy Hellickson is activated off the deal. He'll go up against Jason Vargas. And of course, tonight, after the final out, stick with us for the postgame show presented by Checkers. Todd Narestis out there in left hosting, doing NBA with their breakdowns. And the Royals are kind enough to share with us a James Shields postgame interview. I know you want to hear that. And I'll be in the clubhouse gathering interviews from our guys.
All right. Thank you very much, Kelly. We go to the ninth. Oviedo back out there for the Rays. Face the top of the order is Lorenzo CAIN, now playing right field. CAIN single, stole the base, and the 7th inning was left on. And that first pitch fastball was a strike. Big cut and a miss. Change up. Scott Downs, recently added to the Kansas City bullpen. Kansas City coming into this game 13 games over 500 at 45-32. Chasing the Detroit Tigers and the Central. Dropper over the mound, gloved by Zobrist, but no play. CAIN can run and has himself an infield hit.
You know, once that chopper got over the head of Oviedo, or at least away from him, there was no way for the Rays middle infield to do a thing about it. See where they're playing? Chop right here. Forget it.
Speed aboard at first for the second time. Eric Hosmer. The throw down is not in time. CAIN, another good jump, steals second base for the second time. His 10th stolen base of the year.
Well, he's got a quick start. Quick start, gets another easy stolen base. You know, we saw Dyson take off last inning on Oviedo on a ball that was popped up and ended the inning. He had a good jump and a bigger lead.
Hot shot into right for a base hit by Hosmer. That's going to get CAIN to the plate. Hosmer heads for second with a double. 3 runs off Oviedo in this outing now, and it's 5-0 Kansas City.
A tough outing here for the Rays righty. Kansas City Royals have not missed too many pitches off of him, and Hosmer catches one. That ball meant to be down and away, more down and in. Look at him stay right on it and stroke that ball to right. Hit it hard enough, got it to the wall.
A strike to Perez. Center field for Jennings. The tag. Hosmer heads to third, and he will make that. So move to third after the catch in center. One out with a runner now down there at third. James Kevin Shields worked 7 innings tonight, had 10 strikeouts. That's his 18th career 10 or more strikeout game. His career high 15 strikeouts, 10 tonight, and his third since joining Kansas City. So the infield comes up for the Rays with Alex Gordon at the plate. Fouls the first pitch, strike one. Hosmer's hit is the 12th of the night for the Royals.
And this is a team who's really had trouble scoring runs, and their little slide here over the last couple of weeks, not been able to put anything together really offensively consistently. But tonight having a big night as far as the number of hits, 5 runs already on the board.
This one to the backstop, and no attempt to come down the line by Hosmer.
Well, that ball got through Hannigan into the backstop so quickly. That would have been tough for Hosmer to get there.
That's going to drop for a base hit. Hosmer's going to score. Oviedo touch for the 4th run he's given up. It's now 6-0 Kansas City. Gordon driving in his 2nd run of the game.
Another changeup. Not quite down and away. That stayed more middle, and that allowed Gordon to get out to it. That ball's away with that swing. It's either a swing and a miss or really off the end of the bat. That one gives him a chance because of the location, and he's able to drop it in front of Kiermaier.
Omar Infante, veteran second baseman. The pitch is inside. Have been out hit 13-3 and trail Kansas City 6-0. Strike call, 1-2. Six hits given up by Oviedo. Mike Moustakas on deck. Center for a base hit. 1st and 2nd. Hit number 3 for Infante as Gordon advances to second base. It's turning into one of those games where everybody in the Kansas City order has contributed something to their offense.
Well, use it all up tonight. Get it out of your system. This is a nightmarish inning here for Oviedo, wondering when it's going to end. And guess what? There's no help coming. That bullpen, very quiet.
It's a strike right now. Oviedo has an inning and a third under his belt, and he's given up 7 hits and 4 runs. Fly ball, center field, catchable for Jennings. Tagging at second, Gordon. He'll advance to third. And that's out number 2. And the DH, Billy Butler, heads to the plate. He has walked and singled, Butler. So he's 1 for 3 tonight. And has reached base twice. Chop to third. Loria's got it. Throw to first in time. Kansas City adds a couple more, and we go to the bottom of the 9th. 6-0 Kansas City. Leading this one, the first game of the 3-game series. Practice your jump shots with the Yunel Escobar basketball set presented by Sun Sports. Sunday, July 13th to kids 14 and under while supplies last. Members of the Disney Junior Show, the Octonauts, will also be on hand throughout the game to meet fans. For tickets, visit RaysBaseball.com or call 888-FAN-RAYS. It's a veteran left-hander, Scott Downs. Shields for 7, Davis for 1, and now Downs. It'll be Ben Zobrist to lead it off, and Brandon Geyer has moved out on deck. The spot originally held by Matt Joyce. And the pitch from Downs is a ball. So there's Geyer on deck, and then Longoria.
I think we're all kind of wondering coming to the ballpark today just what this Rays team was going to look like. That was a long, tough road trip, 11 games, 10 days, culminating in a night game starting at 8 o'clock on getaway day. You know, that's a tough schedule to keep, getting in really, really early this morning.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than a night game like that at the end of a road trip on getaway day, and then go home and play the very next day.
Well, how did the road trip start? A day-night doubleheader, and it ends with a Sunday night game.
Yeah,
and by the way, 3-city trip too.
Could be called cool and unusual.
The way that the schedule sets up and the way that travel can be difficult from time to time. That is not the ideal way to start or end a road trip. And I'll tell you what, the work that was done.
The ball by Moustakas up the left field line, and a base hit for Zobrist. Ends on for the third time tonight.
Well, he smoked that ball. And Moustakas, not a whole lot of a chance right here. He tries the backhand and just not able to get there. Probably should have at least knocked it down, but it does speak to how hard that ball was hit by Ben.
Brandon Geyer will pinch hit against the lefty. Downs, 38 years old. Pitch is outside. He opened the year with the White Sox. Made 38 appearances with them. Left with a 6.08 earned run average. Popped up down the right side. Hosmer's after it. Cannot get there. Hosmer and CAIN closing in on it down in the Rays bullpen, but no play.
A long way to go. Tough angle, tough roof.
Hosmer, young man from across the state. Plantation, Florida. Went to high school there. Had some folks come to visit him before the game. One ball, one strike. Foul back again, out of play. Geyer in the starting lineup in Saturday's game in Detroit. Went 0 for 3, but drove in a run with a sacrifice fly. Swings and misses this one. He is the first out in the bottom of the ninth. 13th strikeout tonight posted by Kansas City pitching.
That is a sweeping hook by Downs. And that's what he is known for. That fastball in the upper 80s, but boy, he can get that curveball with good depth and good sweeping action in the mid-70s.
This pitch to Longoria is a strike, and Downs has been around for a while. He started his big league career with the Cubs in 2000. Played for the Expos, Blue Jays, the Angels, the Braves, the White Sox, and now the Royals. And this is his 604th appearance in the major leagues. Made 50 starts, everything else out of the bullpen.
And he broke in one baseball glove tonight.
Yes, he did. The quick, the fast method. 1-2 the count.
You don't have a lot of options down there in that bullpen, so just try to mash that thing up.
That young man is at the ready right now with a broken in glove, courtesy of Scott Downs.
For that perfect circle right there. Well, it almost was right there. There we go. See that? I mean, that's a nice.
Yeah, look at that.
Not bad. Not bad at all for some on the field work.
It down the right side, and CAIN on the run in foul territory on the front side of the mound. Boy, he covered some ground and Showed some balance and maybe got a little assistance there.
He did from Stan Borowski. He had to go a long way, make a tough catch, navigating the mound out there, and there's Stan Borowski keeping him flipping into the stands.
Stan is always so calm, isn't he?
Man of very few words, a lot of action.
Made a save out there. Help CAIN prevent injury, and then right back into calm mode. Going to allow Zobrist to move up to second on indifference. Loney takes the ball. Ground ball back to the mound. The toss to first, and this one goes into the books. A 6-0 victory for Kansas City for the Rays in the 9th inning. No runs, a hit, and a man left. 6-0 Kansas City. Back in a moment.